ID. Cool. So, welcome to my Sunday afternoon live stream. I would be doing a review video today, but it is very gloomy and very rainy, and I'm not sure the mood would be right. So, I'm just going to push forward to doing my review video tomorrow on the Mavic Pro from DJI. So that drone is coming in tomorrow. I'm going to do an unboxing video. And then that's what I'm going to shoot tomorrow with it. And then a few days after that, I'm going to be doing a review video on it. So anyway, I want to talk about the MacBook Pro. I just received it on Thursday. I received the MacBook Pro on Thursday. I've had a few days to play with it, see how I feel. And I have to say that I absolutely love this thing, guys. It is a pretty big improvement from the previous generation MacBook Pro Retina when it comes down to speed, size, weight, ergonomics, and user friendliness. A lot of people are saying that the touch bar is, they're saying that the touch bar is kind of a gimmick. When you're using it with apps that aren't integrated with, or when you're using it with apps that are not integrated with the touch bar, then yes, it's a gimmick, it's useless. But when you're using an app like, let's say, Final Cut, they integrated the touch bar into Final Cut with the latest update with Final Cut, and it works really, really well. There's a few shortcuts on the touch bar that just illuminate, and I'm able to cut, splice, do whatever I want with the touch bar. It's right there on my keyboard. I don't have to search for a specific tool using my mouse. So I think that's really cool. Actually, also very, very convenient when I'm playing music. I can be on other websites, other web pages, and I can actually see on the touch bar how long the song has been playing for. I can scrub through the song. I can press next. It's really fantastic. And on top of that, you can customize the touch bar. When you're having these useless function keys that nobody ever uses, you can instead customize. The touch bar. And I think that's so important because we are now in the digital age. We need to be able to customize everything. And then when we're talking about size, the new MacBook Pro is 13% thinner. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you compare and contrast the two MacBooks, this thing is a lot thinner. I know 13% doesn't sound like much, but when you look at it side by side, it is a lot thinner, and it's half a pound lighter. Also, doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. You definitely feel the difference in weight and in size when you look at these things side by side. Okay? Also, speed. Speed is very, very important. On the new MacBook Pros, we have an updated processor. This is a 6th generation Intel Core processor. Apple had to get this MacBook out before Christmas, obviously. So I know Intel already came out with their 7th generation processors. These MacBook Pros do not have those 7th generation. These are still the 6th generation. A few people are kind of mad about that, but Apple did have to make this happen before Christmas. So they had to incorporate the 6th generation processor, what was already available on the market, into their computers. So it is not a bad thing because 6th generation is still pretty new. We're running a Core i7 2.9 gigahertz quad-core processor using L3 8MB cache, which is a big jump from 6MB cache from the older MacBook Pro. Processor speed going from 2.7 to 2.9. So my older MacBook Pro Retina had a 2.7 gigahertz processor. This one has a 2.9. The difference is, I don't see a difference in speed just yet. I have to really put it through its paces. I need to run some graphic intense applications like After Effects. And when I did do that, I really noticed the 4 gigabytes of RAM on the graphics card kicking in. Instead of using up all the general RAM on the computer, it starts utilizing the RAM that's already built inside to the graphics card. So that's really, really important, because when you have RAM on the graphics card is able to access memory or access information a lot faster than going all the way to the general RAM of the whole computer. Whatever is on the same circuit board, whatever's closer to the actual GPU or CPU regarding RAM, it's going to run information a lot faster. So when I say L1 cache, L2 cache, L3 cache, these are all forms of memory that are put onto the CPU chip. L1 is closest to the CPU, L2 is farther, L3 is even farther. But they are still relatively close to the CPU. So an L3 cache coming from 6 megabyte to 8 megabyte is a pretty big jump. So the CPU can access memory a lot faster than going to the general RAM of the whole computer. So that's important. If you don't know what that means, look it up on Google. L1, L2, L3 cache. So that's something really, really important that you guys got to look into. When we're talking about the color is fantastic. I ordered the space gray MacBook Pro with Touch Bar. I wanted a better. I just like darker colors, and I think it's about time that Apple came out with different colors for MacBooks. And the space gray is fantastic. I won't see any dirt finally on my computer because it's all dark. So I'm happy about that. It matches my iPhone, so I'm happy about that too. And I will say, though, there is a negative, and you're probably already going to know what it is, and that is it doesn't have any USB ports. I do have an adapter with a dongle that has 4 USB 3 ports. It's great. It's comfortable for when I'm at home. But let's say I go traveling, it's going to be kind of pain to grab all these cords and dongles with me. I can see why Apple did this, but I just don't think it should have been done this intensely. Switching from USB to USB-C on all, giving us 4 ports. I don't think Apple necessarily did the right thing there. They made it a little bit too simple. They should have kept some of the older ports like the HDMI and USB. At least 2 USB ports would have been nice, and an HDMI port. But no, they had to take those away. It also has to do with making the laptop thinner. USB inputs are thicker, so that actually would have made the laptop thicker. So I can see also why they started using USB-C. C stands for compact. So that's why they switched to USB-C. Speed is phenomenal when it comes to data transfer. Thunderbolt 3 is fantastic. Big upgrade there. I noticed the transfer speed like nothing I've ever had before in a computer. Also, RAM on the computer has jumped from, I think it was 1800 megahertz to 2133 megahertz. So you have faster RAM, so it's going to be processing information a lot faster. So that's going to actually help a lot with speed. RAM is very, very important. To have fast RAM is very, very important. Next, let's talk about the trackpad. Trackpad, phenomenal. Twice the size of the regular MacBook Pro Retina. It really allows for people to do a lot of hand gestures. And honestly, with this new trackpad, this mouse becomes more and more obsolete. So I feel a lot more comfortable on this trackpad than using the smaller trackpad that's on the MacBook Pro Retina. And it's very weird. They added a taptic engine to the trackpad. A taptic engine. If you don't know what the taptic engine is from Apple, it's basically a little vibration motor. And this motor is meant to simulate a real click on the trackpad. So you press on the trackpad, it's going to vibrate. You press even harder, it's going to vibrate even more. And when I first got it, I thought my MacBook was broken because I thought a taptic vibration would be, like the iPhone. It's going to be a lot stronger. But no, The Taptic engine on the MacBook Pro is just right to simulate a click. Um, After it honestly messed with my mind because it confused me with the real click. I really thought that this trackpad was clickable, but it's not. It's actually the Taptic engine, and I thought that was pretty gnarly. Another thing, the charging port. You have 4 different charging ports now instead of just one. I think that's a really cool thing because sometimes I'm on, I have my charging stuff on my desk and I turn around maybe to watch something on TV here, and I like to switch my I would have liked to switch my charging ports on my older MacBook Pro, but that wasn't an option. But now I can because now we have 4 different charging ports on 2 different sides. So now I can just flip the laptop around, plug it in, and just go about my day. So I think that's a really good plus there. Next, the speakers have improved. They're brighter. They have a more dynamic range. You hear the bass. You hear the treble, midtones. It sounds very, very crisp, very, very clean. The best laptop speakers I've ever heard in a laptop. All right, you're not going to get better speakers than what Apple's putting in their computers. I'm just going to say right now. These speakers are just as enjoyable to listen to as, let's say, a surround sound speaker set. So if you want to rock out to some tunes while you work, the speakers on the MacBook Pro are perfect because you don't need, honestly, when you're working and you need to listen to music, you don't need anything more than what the MacBook Pro speakers are giving you. I just want to lay it out like that. The FaceTime HD camera, to my extent, is slightly better with white balance. Because if you check out my previous live streams on my MacBook Pro Retina, you'll notice that the camera had a really big issue with white balance. Right now, it's giving me proper white balance. This is actually how I look like, and the colors are accurate. So I think they put in a slightly better sensor on this camera. Still shooting at 720p resolution, but white balance is better. Low light seems to be about the same, but I think white balance was the biggest issue with the FaceTime HD camera on the previous MacBook Pro models. Moving on to what else are we missing here? Oh, yes. One more little negative thing. There's no more illuminated Apple logo on the MacBook Pro. This is something I wish they didn't throw away. I'm trying to understand why they took away the illuminated Apple logo. I don't know. Maybe they just wanted to change design. Maybe they just didn't want to spend the extra time to make the logo. I don't know. But no illuminated logo on these models kind of sucks, but I'll get over it. You're not buying the laptop for the logo. You're buying it for portability, usability, all that kind of stuff. So that's how that is. Overall, I'm very, very happy with this laptop. I think that it's really living up to its expectation from me. Apple's doing a great job. It is very pricey. I paid $3,300 for this laptop. So it is pricey. Now, the biggest question I'm sure I'm going to get is it worth the upgrade from the MacBook Pro Retina, the older MacBook Pro Retina, to the MacBook Pro with Touch Bar? And this all has to do with, I think, with the internals of the computer. If you had the 2.7 gigahertz processor on the older MacBook Pro Retina and you want to upgrade to the new MacBook Pro Retina, which has a 2.6 gigahertz processor, the base model, I would say no, you don't have to upgrade. But if you want a GPU upgrade, the new MacBook Pros come with the 4 gigabyte VRAM, which is quite the upgrade. So that's something you definitely need to look out for. That's a big plus, and definitely look into that. That's definitely worth the upgrade. This is lighter, better battery life, and you got the Touch Bar, which honestly is not a gimmick in my opinion. You have the Touch ID, which I didn't mention yet. Touch ID, it's beautiful, very, very fast, just as fast as the iPhone 7's Touch ID sensor. So it's really, really fantastic. And startup speed, I would say, is just about the same as the previous generation MacBook Pros. That's all because of the SSD. solid state disk. And overall, guys, I'm very, very happy with my MacBook. But tomorrow I get my DJI Mavic. So I am honestly counting down the minutes until I do get that thing. I'm very, very excited for it. I'm sure you guys are too. I'm going to do the most in-depth review I can as possible because you guys deserve this review. I don't want you guys wasting $1,000 on a drone that I think is mediocre. So tomorrow I'm going to be unboxing it, talking about quality, really getting in depth with the Mavic. There's only so much I can do with the computer. There's already a ton of pictures online, and I've already done an unboxing video of the MacBook Pro. Honestly, besides speed and ergonomics, there's not much more I can talk about the MacBook Pro. It is honestly fantastic, and so many people have done reviews online about the MacBook Pro with Touch Bar. But the Mavic, I feel like my review videos, I don't mean to bloat, but on my review videos, I really get into the engineering standpoint of drones. So I look at each little piece specifically. I look for design flaws. I'm the biggest critique in technology. I immediately, when I get something new, I immediately start looking for design flaws. Like in the Inspire and Inspire 2, there's exposed cables. I think they should have already concealed that. You cannot have exposed cables in a drone. That's a very bad idea. So you got to find a way to hide those cables, protect it with plastic or something. You can never have exposed cables. So by the looks of it, the Mavic Pro doesn't have any exposed cables. The Phantom 4 doesn't have any exposed cables. So exposed cables is really not the best thing. The unique Typhoon H had two exposed antennas, and that was just laziness or just bad planning on the drone. But it is a good drone. It's just not to my standards. The Inspire 1 is also fantastic, but also there were a lot of design flaws in my opinion with the Inspire 1. The exposed cables was my biggest complaint. So there are things that companies do amazingly, but there's always something that they can improve on. I don't mean to bash any company when I say they should have done this, they should have done that. I say it so they can improve, and they will improve. And they want people to be critical. They want people to give them an honest opinion because that's how they beat the competition. They want to be better. So with the Mavic Pro, when I get it tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about all these different elements, and we're going to really dive deep into the engineering standpoint, how they engineered and designed the system. And then we're going to talk about picture quality, and we're going to talk about maneuverability, how well it can fly, and all that good stuff. So stay tuned for that review. The unboxing video I'm going to have come out tomorrow. I'm going to shoot it in the morning when I get the Mavic. I'm going to edit it in the afternoon and release it immediately. And then the review video will take me about a week. I'll be in San Francisco for Thanksgiving, so I'm going to have a few days to play around with the Mavic, see if I run into any problems, and I'll record it. So stay tuned for that. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to head out. I got some stuff I got to do today. I'm sure you guys do too. And I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for my video tomorrow. Peace.